YouTube, this is Toy Customizer Wake Angel 2001, bringing you a commission for fellow YouTube user Spike Hedgelion 8, Mephiles the Dark. Just like in the video game, Mephiles would be created from a shadow figure. We start with the head, where I remove the nose and sculpt on a whole bunch of spiky bits, which would become Mephiles' crystally form. Here he is from a different angle where you can see the points on his eyebrows and stuff like that. It's only a little bit of sculpting, but this always left me self-conscious because these points normally break off quite easily. But now that I make them out of epoxy sculpt, I don't have to worry about that because the stuff is actually stronger than the plastic that the rest of the figure is made out of. Modifications to the body were relatively light, just forming that split tail and the extra crystals coming off of the back of his spines. Similar efforts were made with Mephiles' extremities. The feet are essentially made from scratch, if you can call them that, because if you take a good look at his CGI model, you find he doesn't really have feet. His legs just kind of end in these sharp crystalline nubs. And in previous efforts, when I made Mephiles the Dark, I would sculpt his hands from scratch. But this time, I used Blaze the Cat's hands because the calm, open hand that Blaze has actually works pretty good for the constant gesturing that Mephiles is often doing while he talks in the game. Alright, if you were wondering why I wasn't showing any of the painted results as I worked on the figure, it's because I was saving it all for this. Again, I tried to capture that sickly shade of light blue that Mephiles is when he enters his crystalline form. I think I got closer to it now than I ever did before. But also the way the paint is applied is important here. Instead of painting a smooth, even coat like I strive to with most of my customs, this time I put an intentionally rough and scratchy coat. This way it has the appearance of being that rocky texture that Mephiles' skin and fur has. That's also evident in his eyes, where just a little bit of the white shows through, because if you look into Mephiles' eyes, they always kind of look like they were made of ash or like cooling lava, something like that. So here's the completed Mephiles the Dark figure. You probably realize by now that there's no way he'd be able to stand on his own with those tiny nubs of feet, but that's okay because I modified him to be able to use one of those figure stands. Since it's a transparent one, it even makes him look like he's legitimately just floating just a little bit above the ground, like he does in the game. Now, if only you could find a way to suspend some purple smoke down there, and he'd look perfect. So, yeah, he loses the wrist joints because Blaze's hand holes don't quite fit Shadow's wrist pegs, but he can still get a lot of nice expressions from his posability. This is actually kind of interesting. Mephiles the Dark is one of the first figures I ever made, back before I really started taking commissions like this. Seeing it side by side with my first Mephiles, it really shows how much I've grown. And you know what? I really don't care. Say what you will about Sonic 2006, I'm not going to defend the game, but I still think that Mephiles the Dark was a cool villain. I mean, he has no real grudge against Sonic the Hedgehog, and he has no aspirations to rule the world. He's just a physical manifestation of the will to destroy all existence. Kind of like the Lich from Adventure Time.